in 3, 2. Lewis, just because you're in Italy doesn't mean you can be relaxed on this show. Come on, tighten it up.
That was obnoxious.
I think we're live. Let me send out this tweet. I forgot it last week, and then we'll be.
I better find that.
Honestly, on a tweet effectiveness scale, I give this one probably a 6.2 out of 10. It's not my best work, but it was done.
I put 13. Here it is.
Yeah, we're talking about it.
Is Apple scanning all your iPhone photos? Oh,
you can feel free to massage that language, but I feel confident about that title. Level Remix is here. Boom! And we're live. we got just like a glowing Skype box for Lewis, and I think I'm gonna just leave it there. I thought about just going me and Leander on this one, Lewis, but I think I'm going to just leave you as a glowing Skype box. You got your recording going, right, Lewis?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Can't you
good.
put up the picture of the polenta and guanciale?
You want to give me a picture? I'll put it up there. But the problem is we lost you in the cast room, so I need to make sure that we're getting your recording. Leander looks frozen. He's not. He's just doing something. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, God, mate. Now Trace is calling me.
Oh, well, answer it. This should get
Oh, my
more
God.
entertaining.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't either. I was just joking. Maybe you can invite her on stream in her towel like Lewis just did. We can spice up the show. You know what? If you want to make things really spicy, we need to get Lewis on the stream in his towel.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
what people are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Level Remix. Shout out Chase McLean. We've got Michael Cornelius. Hi, fine. How do you do? Ulysses Martinez is here with a very enthusiastic, hey, y'all. Kristen Cherwa, message retracted. Uh-oh. And Ulysses Martinez says, love the haircut. Is it me or is it LK? Did you get some hairs cut there, LK? No? What? And that phantom voice that you hear, that's Lewis Wallace trying his best to join us from San Pellegrino, Italy, where he's been bathing in sparkling water, after which they bottle it up and sell it to us unsuspecting Americans. So if it tastes if the limon tastes a little funny.
Pass.
What's that?
5 hours. 5-hour pass. You go in there for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like an amusement park for sparkling bubbly water.
Oh, it's like
they got all these different ways you can sit in there in the spa.
Oh, a San Pellegrino spa? Really?
Yeah.
Is it all sparkling too? So you sit in there and the bubbles are just effervescing your kibbles and bits?
All kinds of bubbles. Big bubbles, small
especially
bubbles.
when you get in, right?
Of all sorts.
Especially when Lewis gets in the jacuzzi, it's bubble central. The Italian's like, what's going on in there?
Bubbling.
Too many bubbles from that guy. Oh, I'm sorry. Paula Dickman is here. Zach Hicks is here. Pradeep Gopal is here. Any guesses on when the next big Apple event is going to be? Well, it's coming up. I don't know if we could guess dates, but it's going to be soon. And I'll tell you why. It's going to be, probably early to mid-September, I think for sure. All right, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We're going to try and make it through all the way with Lewis Wallace. He had to abandon his Wi-Fi, and he's doing it with his cell phone, which, funny enough, actually is working, kind of. So if he turns into a cyborg midway through and disappears, that's why, because he's a real trooper. He's joining us live from Italy. Let's go ahead and queue up Mrs. You-Know-Who. Get her going, and then we're going to dive into the show, because I don't even know if we're going to make it through all this stuff. We got hardware to talk about. We got the Apple privacy stuff to talk about, which is crazy. I might have a HomePod up-to-date for you guys if we have time to do it. I mean, it's a fully torqued show, as they say. And if no one says that, they should start saying that this show is fully torqued. Let's queue up Mrs. D. Where's that delightful Lewis Wallace? Oh, he's here. You just can't see him. Oh, I prefer it that way. That's not very nice.
Most people do.
Let me see, Mrs. D, if you're ready. I'm ready to go, and we would love to commence the show here. Don't rush me, young man. Okay, well, whenever you're ready. I've got my hand on the button, and I'm ready for you. Okay, let me clear my throat. Jeez, are you okay?
Jeez.
Don't backtalk
Wow.
me, young man. I'll put my size 13 right where the sun don't shine. Okay, now hold on, Ms. D. I need to get feisty here. Okay, here we go. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Aaron Elijah. Joining me today, he just couldn't stay away, currently gallivanting across Italy in nothing but a gold neck chain and a Speedo. We demanded he put on a shirt for today's production, and thankfully he did, although you can't really see him anyway. He's the managing editor of Cultamac. Lewis Wallace is here, kind of. Yeah, I was going to say something. We can't see your face. You gotta say something. Also with us, renowned Apple author and aspiring Bialeichen. He's the founder of Cultamac. Oh, Leander Kahaney is here. Hey,
Hello.
Leander. Did you say anything?
What?
You got when I introduce you, you got to give some kind of like gusto, like hello guys, something to let people know that you're here. Cheerio,
Okay.
L. Bean. Nothing.
Hello.
Or you can just
What are you, rustling some papers?
yeah. Wait.
Who, me or Lewis? I mean, Irfan.
Oh my gosh.
Am I rustling papers?
Who me?
It
Or?
sounded like your big entrance was like rustling of papers or something. I don't know.
Oh, no, it wasn't me.
All right. God, this show's already off to an absolutely horrendous start.
That's an
So,
awful start.
welcome everyone. Let me go through the agenda here. We got so much stuff to talk about. I honestly don't think we're going to make it through all this stuff. So, we've got an update on the mini LED MacBook Pros. They're coming. And I know we've talked about this like every single week. I know some of you are waiting to hear what's going on because you're going to be making some buying decisions, as am I. And all I got to say is get that Apple Card started. Get it out and just hold on to it because you're going to need it pretty soon. Also, we pretty much have everything that you need to know about iPhone 13. If you're wondering what features it's going to have, what it's going to look like, we have the entire summation here. So, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know exactly what's going to happen, then, well, still listen, but maybe just mute that part. But we definitely want you to keep listening. Please don't leave. Also, we have to talk about this crazy scandal. Scandal might not be the right word. Debacle with privacy and Apple. And there's a lot of crazy misinformation going around this week and some accurate stuff, too, about what Apple's plans are for scanning photos on your phone in iCloud, how it's going to work in iMessages. This is something that's new that's coming to iOS 15. You probably heard about this at least because it kind of blew up. People were stunned that this was something that could potentially be happening. And so I thought we could just go through it and tell you what's actually happening as far as what kind of scanning is going to be happening or is not going to be happening with your photos and the new iMessage features. And then also just kind of clear the air about some of the misinformation. Lewis, are you typing over there?
Susanna decided to rinse her hair,
Is that what that
which
is?
is perfect, absolutely perfect timing. And so I'm sure it sounds great through the AirPods Pro.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately, we
loud
don't
and
have
clear.
a active noise cancellation that works the other way.
this is active noise introduction is what that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
It sounds like it sounds like someone's having a water fight back there.
Yeah, it's quite loud.
Okay, well, and then also
It's
if we
San
have
Pellegrino bubbly water, isn't it?
yeah,
Out of
that's the
tap.
problem is you can't rinse quietly because it's San Pellegrino. It's just sparkling and bubbles going everywhere. There's no way to do it quietly. And then also we are going to potentially talk about a HomePod reboot. HomePod reboot. We've talked a little bit about this in the past. I don't know if we're going to have time to make it through this. Before we dive in, let me send it over to, well, which one of you guys wants to do this? We have a Cult of Mac store promotion here. Do one of you guys want to talk about the Cult of Mac store?
I'll do it.
Yeah, do it. Lewis.
Unless Leander's dying to.
I was just waiting there for Lewis to jump in. So I
Yeah,
didn't
Lewis,
have to.
you know what? I'm gonna put you front and center here so we can see your glowing Skype logo. You're like that computer from the movie 2001 right now. Every time you speak, it's just like moving.
I like this thing here in the Cult of Mac store.
So go ahead, take it away, and tell us
we
about
got-
the Cult of Mac store. We got some good stuff in the store this week.
We've always got all kinds of sales. Right now, we got a back to school sale.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that I'm looking at, I haven't actually seen this before in our store. We have the limited 77 wooden engraved American flag iPhone case. Thing looks
Oh,
awesome.
I'm
Have
looking
you
for that
seen
one.
this?
I see the wood one. I don't see the
Yeah,
American
American
flag.
flag, man. I mean, we should have had
Oh,
this for the 4th of July sale, but what can I say? Here we are. It's a good thing to take back to school. I'm sure you can't hear the wife drying her hair with the hairdryer next door. But
that's actually
anyway,
much.
yeah,
That's much quieter than the rinsing was.
yeah,
I
the
could
rinsing
barely
was
hear that.
horrific. Okay, so look at this thing. It's like a wooden cover, with the kind of what is it? Flexible rubber around the outside edge, but the
Yeah.
backside is the wood. It's like a wood grain brown and white American flag. I've never seen this. I want to
It's
get
like
one right now on my phone.
it's like laser etched or something. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, like a veneer. It's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice looking.
Yeah, very patriotic too. So if you're into American flag paraphernalia, and I have a whole jumpsuit made out of American flag. Top and
We also
bottom.
have
Yeah,
a lot of stuff in here I haven't seen. The limited 77 watercolor hummingbird shockproof iPhone case. That's
Don't you have
a
this?
little different from the American flag.
Don't you have this same like colorful watercolor image tattooed on your lower back? I thought you did.
No comment.
Okay, well, I thought I saw it there, but that's okay. Yeah. All right.
There's all
Well,
kind of stuff in there, though. We got iPhone cases, we got watch straps, we got all kinds of stuff. I don't really do it back to school, but hey, click on the back to school. That's where you see all the sales we got.
there you go. So head on over to store.cultamac.com, store.cultamac.com,
Exactly.
and then just click on back to school deals, and you'll see all the stuff here. And we only put curated stuff that we like in the store, so it's not a bunch of cheap back alley Shanghai garbage. This is actually good stuff from good manufacturers who make stuff that we like. And if you use code CultCast at checkout, you'll save a whole 10% off your order, which could be your sales tax, or it might actually save you 10% if you don't have sales tax. I mean, there's so many ways that could go. It could be 5% off your sales tax. It just depends on the rate. Like, I'm not going to do the calculation for you here on the fly. Store.cultofmac.com, store.cultofmac.com. Let's dive into the first story here. Let me take a look at my notes. Where are we going first? Oh, that's right. Here it is. Mini LED MacBook Pros launching before the end of this September. Leander, this is what I've been saving my my money for. Take it away.
Yeah, right. That's only 6 weeks away. So the long-awaited redesign of the 16-inch and the 14-inch MacBook Pro is probably nearing its end. A reliable source for Apple info says these Macs will be out in September at the latest, and they will have mini LED screens. So this is coming from Ming-Chi Kuo from TF International Securities, the one and only reliable analyst. He said in a note to investors sent on Tuesday and seen by Cult of Mac that the new models will be out in the third quarter of 2021. That quarter, of course, ends in September. Oh, I see there was a little... reporters did a little bit of...
Math there. Analysis.
Yeah, math.
Go
anyway,
team
so
Cult of Mac.
Yeah, this isn't surprising, as the macOS laptops are reportedly already in production. And we have a story on that. Still, Quo's note means that the devices probably won't be in limbo until October. That's good news. So one of the main reasons people are eager to get the 2021 MacBook Pro lineup is the mini LED displays, which should give them greater contrast ratios between brighter areas of the screen and darker ones. They could also bring back the SD card reader and the HDMI port. And they'll have faster Apple processors with the M1X or M2.
Okay, so a quick note about M1X versus M2. We've talked a lot about this in the past. Is it going to be the more powerful version of the M1, or is it going to just be the M2? And I had an epiphany today. There's no way. Yeah, just get ready for it. There's no way that they're going to put an M2 in the MacBook Pro, and here's why. If they put an M2 in the MacBook Pro, well, then when the less powerful consumer grade machines come out, the MacBook Air, the 13-inch MacBook Pro, what have you, they're going to end up putting the M3 in those. So now you have a situation where the consumer grade machines are way more powerful than the Pro machines. No, that's not going to happen. They're going to put in an M1X, whatever they end up calling it, probably the M1X. It's going to be the powerful version of the M1. And then when they release the M2 may be more powerful in certain aspects, right? But I still don't think it's going to outperform the M1X. That way, the pro machines always have an edge over the consumer grade machines. So it's not going to have a prosumer chip, the M number series. It's going to be the M number X series or whatever they end up calling it, because they have to make sure that the pro machines, from a brand perspective, maintain that sentiment of being more powerful than the regular consumer grade machines. And so it's going to have to be an M1X. That's my prediction. What do you think about that, Lewis?
Well, I mean, naming of the chips, I don't know. I mean,
I was gonna say that.
well, I know people don't like it when I say I don't know, but I mean, I literally don't know what they're gonna call them. I mean, what's weird is that we're in this place of like these first generation chips are so much better than everything else we've ever used, right? I mean, I'm using this MacBook Air. This seems awesome, and the battery lasts forever. It's so much better than the MacBook Pro that I had from a few years ago. It's like it's shocking. So who knows what they're going to call these things? And I don't know. I mean, splitting. You're saying M1X is going to be more powerful than M2. That's what you're saying, Airpod? I don't know.
In certain regards, yes. I think that the previous version, X version of the chip, will always be more powerful than the next version of the number series. So like the M1X will always be slightly more powerful than the M2. The M2X will always be slightly more powerful than the M3, because they have to make sure that the pro level machines maintain an edge over their prosumer machines. And it seems like they're delineated, right? There's the pro series, and then there's going to be the consumer series.
Yeah, well, they're doubling up the cores, so it's going to be, it's going to be quite a lot faster, isn't it? Even probably, like what everyone's saying is that they're going to come out, they've got the M1 now, super powerful, 8 cores or whatever it is. The M1X is going to have like 16 cores or 20 cores or whatever. And then when the M2 comes out for the consumer level machines the following year, it's going to have less cores. It's going to have half as many cores. So but it might be faster. It's still probably going to lag the previous generation X chip, right?
Yeah. And it's also not going to support as many Thunderbolt ports. It's also not going to support as much RAM. Like they're going to nerf it in some way, because what they don't want you thinking is, all the machines are exactly the same. We use the same chip in all of them. Just pick your form factor, which is kind of the strategy they're going with now in the M series computers. The Mac Mini is the same as the iPad, is the same as the MacBook Pro. They're all the same performance pretty much. They just have different form factors. And I don't think that they want you to think that for their Pro machines, that they have performance that's on par with the M1 or the M2 or the M3 or like the prosumer series. They have to make sure that they delineate and keep people thinking that there's going to be a significant performance benefit to spending the extra money on the pro machines. Now, Level Remix, I think, was saying, all I need to know is how much. And all I got to say is, if you got to ask, you can't afford it.
Jeez.
That's not a question. Us real
They're
pro
going to be
consumers,
the same
we never ask that question. We don't want to know. We just want to buy it.
They're going to be the same as the current generation, aren't they?
Yeah,
Apple always does that.
I think so, especially because they're going to be getting rid of the touch bar. So there you go. There's your MacBook Pro update. It's coming in the next probably 4 weeks, which means that the keynote event is going to be happening probably in the next 4 weeks. They'll announce it, and then you'll be able to buy it. The question that Level Remix brings up is mine also. How much are these things going to cost? And I almost don't want to know. Let's see here. Okay, let's talk about iPhone 13. We had a story out from Mark Gurman, aka the Gurmy, and talking about iPhone 13. And this is pretty much everything that you need to know. If you're wondering what is going to be included in iPhone 13, well, this is it. We're so close now, and he has such great sources. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what you can expect. So here we go. I'm going to just dive into the story here. iPhone 13 could bring ProMotion display, camera upgrades, smaller notch. Now, some of this is actually interesting and not something that we've discussed a lot on here on the show. This year's iPhone refresh could be a lot more exciting than the incremental upgrades we've seen in previous years. A new report claims Apple's next-generation smartphone lineup, which could be called iPhone 13. I don't know what else they'd call it, but yeah, that's a good guess. Will bring faster ProMotion displays, pro camera upgrades, and a smaller notch. Some of these things that we've talked about before. In addition to faster ProMotion displays, Like those available in the iPad Pro, which can reach refresh rates of up to 120 hertz. This year's iPhone models will bring ProRes and portrait mode for videos and design tweaks, says Gurman. A new ProRes video feature will let iPhone users capture clips in a higher quality format that gives editors more control during post-production. Now, that's interesting. I'm really curious to see how good is the quality coming out of an iPhone and ProRes. ProRes is a really popular format for people who record and edit videos. I record all my stuff in ProRes because it's so high quality and it lets you like color grade it much easier. But from a phone, like how good could it be from a phone on that tiny little sensor? I'm really curious to see.
What's it available on right now? Like DSLRs?
No. ProRes, I mean, you have to basically get a DSLR. So ProRes is an Apple proprietary format. So I think they have to license it from Apple. So a lot of companies just don't do that. So what you have to usually do, and what a lot of people do, is they will get like a DSLR and then they'll attach a recorder to it. And then the recorder you connect via HDMI, and the recorder basically records everything that's happening in the camera via ProRes. And that's usually how people do it. If you want a camera that actually records ProRes, you can buy those, but most of them are not inexpensive, or they really don't have very many features. Like the Blackmagic cameras, they have really beautiful image quality, but they're missing a lot of features. Like they don't have autofocus, or the autofocus is terrible. I don't know of any camera that has really great autofocus also records in ProRes unless you want to spend like $60,000. So
well, there you go. The iPhone 13 then.
You don't need to buy a
Crazy.
movie grade movie camera. Just get the iPhone 13. There you go. That's all you need. That's Hollywood's new camera of choice. So let me see here. Where was I? Back to browser mode. Portrait mode debuted with iPhone 7 Plus in 2016, has become a key feature in subsequent iPhone models. It has only been available when shooting still photos, but it seems like Apple is going to be extending portrait mode to video recording and FaceTime calls as well, which that would be pretty cool. One of the biggest drawbacks of those really tiny sensors is the depth of field is pretty much unlimited. So when you're looking at something close, everything behind it still is in focus, where in DSLRs, when you focus on something close, everything behind it is blurred, which is an effect that a lot of people like, especially when they're doing like FaceTime and stuff. So you should be able to do that in FaceTime as well as videos. Now, I thought that feature didn't work unless the phone had LiDAR, and I heard only the Pro iPhone 13s were going to have LiDAR. So maybe all of them will have LiDAR. I can't really remember where we...
Wasn't that a rumor? I thought LiDAR was coming to all the handsets.
Yeah, we did talk about that at some point, and I think that was Ming Chi Kuo, but I can't remember.
It would make sense, wouldn't it? Because they're going to need it for AR and it's already in the Pro models. They might as well trickle down.
You would think that at a certain point they will have LiDAR and everything. I just don't know if it's going to be this generation or not. I would imagine. Well, we've heard it both ways. So I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure what to think about that, but that would actually be a useful feature. It's something that it's practical. I would actually use, like the ability to blur the background when a person's in the foreground on a video. That's a feature that I would actually use. All right, here. Let's see here. As far as design tweaks go, Gurman says the notch above iPhone's display will be getting smaller. It hasn't changed in size since iPhone 10, which is 2017, but the display sizes of the phones are actually expected to remain the same, which is interesting because he says they will retain the same 5.4, 6.1, and 6.1 and 6.7 inch screens, which means that the iPhone mini is not going anywhere. So that's interesting because we heard that was going to be scrapped.
Cool.
Too.
I love the iPhone mini. It's my favorite phone.
A lot of people love the iPhone mini. Unfortunately, there's just not enough of you. The people that have it love it, but there's only like 15 of you. So,
well, Tim's
that's
making
been
one
the rumor
especially
that
for
it's
me.
not going. I'm sorry.
No, what was that, Lewis?
Lewis?
That's been the rumor that it's not going away this year, but next year.
Oh, is that? I don't actually recall. But what's interesting is I think one of the reasons they need to add the blurred background in is because for video and for FaceTime and stuff is because a lot of people are doing, like video calls these days.
OnlyFans?
And OnlyFans, which I know Alex E. Heath's OnlyFans too. It's just blowing up. And he's been practicing his dance moves. It's gotten so much better, and it's a really polished production now. Anyway, he has like a smoke machine that I think his wife holds in the background. You know, it's really high production value. But people don't want to have their backgrounds in the video now. So like if you use like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, they allow you to have like virtual backgrounds, which when they first introduced that feature, I thought it was so weird because if you move fast, you can kind of see like the processor try to keep up with you. There's like a little block that's visible, you know, right next to your head, and you can like see like all the trash that's piling up in the room that you're recording in, Lewis. And but these features are really important
That's
because
not trash. It's stuff.
Room accessories.
His precious possessions.
It looked like actual trash bags, but maybe you just keep your possessions in those trash bags.
That's what keeps his most prized possessions.
Yeah, well, it does keep them dry, so that's nice. But you know, with people doing so many video calls, you need to be able to blur your background. Everybody does it now. No one wants to show because who's going to clean up their background, right? Like people's rooms are cluttered, and so they need to be able to blur their background. So there it is, iPhone 13. Honestly, people were saying it's exciting. I think it's going to be kind of sleepy. I just don't think it's going to be nearly as exciting as iPhone 12 was, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to get one regardless. I have an iPhone 11 Pro, so I'm excited to get something new. I think iPhone 14 is going to be the one that has like the really big bang, gee whiz fancy features. This seems like more of an iterative update, but we'll see what actually happens.
Well, they always, you know, the point is they always get it right on the second year. You know, when they do a big design change, like the S, when they, you know, whenever they do something new and different, like with these, you know, with these this new design language they got, it's always a second version where they really nail it, where they really get it right. So, I mean, these will be great, even though the you know the smaller iterative changes.
Yeah.
This is where they really nail it in. You know, this will be a great phone by virtue of the fact because it's building on a great platform.
Yeah, and you might be right. I guess the part that's a little bit disappointing to me, and we'll have to wait to see what actually happens, but it just doesn't seem like very much. It's like ProMotion. I'm like, we've been talking about ProMotion for so long, and for that to finally make its debut, it's like, okay, that's cool. I mean, ProMotion's cool, but I don't really find it to be that exciting. I mean, I saw a few videos where people were like, it's going to be life-changing. I don't think so.
It's not going to be life-changing.
No,
it's going to be nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice
cameras will be
update,
nice.
but I have ProMotion on my iPad. Do I even notice? Not usually. You know, it's like whatever. So I just don't think that's going to be as much of a jump out feature as some people are saying it's going to be. And for most normal people, I don't.
Notch.
On the smaller notch, okay, it's still there.
Wow.
I like the notch now. Do you
Slightly
even notice the
smaller
notch?
notch.
Yeah, I do notice
No.
it, but not nearly as often as I used to. I'll be happy when it's gone, but it doesn't bother me that much. And if they shrink it like by half, I mean that's cool, but I don't know. Is it a really big marquee selling point feature? Not really. Not really. But we'll see. Maybe there's something else that is floating around out there that we haven't heard about and will cause us all scrambling to throw out our money at Apple, which has happened before. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about some of this privacy stuff that happened this week. And if you don't know, let me just give you a high-level, really quick summary about why people were talking about Apple and privacy this week. So it was discovered, I think, by the Financial Times. Let me see here. Let me scroll down. There was a report out. Yeah, it was by the Financial Times that Apple, I'm just reading the headline here. Apple plans to scan iPhones and iCloud for child abuse imagery. And so I'm going to just paraphrase this to summarize it as best I can. Basically, what the story was Apple is scanning iCloud photos for images that match a database of known child abuse images. And then furthermore, and this is the part that really, I think, caused a lot of the outrage, is Apple, according to the story, was also going to be scanning your phone. So regardless of whether or not you uploaded your photos to iCloud, Apple was actually going to be scanning your phone, according to the report,
Not quite.
and looking for child abuse images. Now, I think that was the story. And then there was this guy who, let me see here, what's his name? John Hopkins University professor, cryptographer, Matthew Green, who went on somewhat of a Twitter tirade about this, and he said that according to people that he knew, that Apple was going to be scanning images on your phone that you didn't even upload to iCloud and looking for abusive pictures. So what were you going to say, Leander? Is there?
Well, I think it make it a bit more complicated because Apple actually came out. The Times did a story. Apple had been briefing journalists and security researchers last week in anticipation of putting out this announcement. And the Financial Times got wind of it, so they did a story saying Apple's plan to do this. But then Apple came out and officially confirmed it, and they now have an FAQ up, and they've been answering questions. And they're going to be doing is that they're scanning your device for child abuse images for anything that's shared in iCloud, and it'll only scan it if you've got iCloud sharing turned on. But the controversial part is that they're introducing this scanning feature that without anybody asking for this, and there's no way to turn it off. So it's going to happen as long as if you share photos on iCloud, it's going to scan your phone for child abuse images. And then there were a couple of other components too, as well. Where they're looking for in iMessages if the kid is between 13 and 16, and they're on their parents' account, the family sharing account. If they receive anything that looks like sexually explicit imagery, their parents will get a notification through iCloud of that this is that their kids are looking at something potentially damaging, or if they send it to. It's caused a big controversy, and it's the first time that Apple's been doing this. The first time a company has actually pushed this down to the device level. So apparently this is routine in Facebook. Facebook scans all the images that get uploaded to Facebook, and they found something like 20 million images. And I can't remember what the time frame was. I think that was in longer than a year. I think that was like over a period of 3 or 4 years. But yeah, it was a lot. Google found several 100,000. Apple found a few hundred because they're not doing it. They're not scanning. But it looks like there's legislation in the UK and in the EU that's going to compel companies to look for this kind of imagery. And Apple, of course, wants to introduce end-to-end encryption in iCloud photo backups, which it doesn't do right now at the behest of the FBI. But this might be a step towards allowing them to do that, because, of course, they won't be able to scan for this kind of imagery if it's end-to-end encrypted. They can't scan it on the server, but they can scan it on the device at the device level. So, there's some speculation this is why they're doing this. They're trying to head off this legislation. They're trying to get ahead of their own encryption plans, and they're trying to find a solution for lawmakers to say, look, we're doing this at the device level. But of course, it introduces a spy tool that no one's asked for, and personally, it makes me really uncomfortable with this. I think it's a slippery slope that I don't want to see Apple get down. This I think is an invasion of my privacy. And Apple, especially with its marketing, saying that I look all over town, everywhere you go here in San Francisco, there's got these giant billboards up with people holding their phone over their faces and saying privacy, that's iPhone. And I think a tool like this, a surveillance tool, no matter what the reason, I know it's well intentioned, and I find child abuse imagery absolutely abhorrent, but I don't like the idea of my phone spying on me in the background without me having being able to do anything about it. It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And then Apple had this to say: "Let us be clear." Quote: "Let us be clear. This technology is limited to detecting CSAM stored in iCloud, and we will not accede to any government request to expand it." And it's like,
yeah, look at that record in China.
That's one of the reasons you're putting this in place. It seems is to head off the upcoming requests by governments that you do this. And so, what other things could they ask you to do that you would then do? You seem like you're already acceding. And so, and then you have this feature that's floating out there. You're creating a mechanism for this kind of spying to happen on the phone. What would prevent someone from abusing this now that you've created it? So, I'm with you. I know many of us are probably in the exact same boat. I think that child abuse, especially of a sexual nature, is one of the most evil things that can be. That one of the most evil acts that can happen, and it really is disgusting to me. And I would I would be supportive of any initiative to lessen it, remove it, arrest people, and make sure that those people are punished for participating in it. But also with your phone, to start scanning everything on your phone that you are paying Apple to keep private, and they're supposed to be the champions of privacy. I think this is a huge black eye for them, and I think it's eroded a lot of that brand trust that we've put in Apple, that they've spent so much time championing and building, and now all of a sudden they're coming out of nowhere and saying, oh, hey, we're going to start scanning your photos, and if we determine that there's something potentially wrong with them, we're going to send them to a team of people, and those people are going to look at your photos of your kids. I just think that's a bad look.
It's probably not going to do that. I mean, it looks like
they literally say that if they scan your photos.
Well, not photos of your kids. They're looking for this. They're looking to confirm that this is one of those images that's already in the database.
But what
they're not looking for new original photos. They're not looking for kids. Pictures of your kids in the bathtub or playing on the slip and slide. They're looking for images that are already in this database, run by the National Society for the whatever it is, Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So they're looking for known exploitative imagery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I guess from my perspective, though, I'm like, how accurate is this algorithm that's looking for those things? Maybe it is.
Well, they said it's 1 in a trillion
accurate.
or something.
Oh, really? Okay. So
they said that the rate is supposed to be. This is according to Apple, and Apple's own analysis. It hasn't been independently verified, but I think they said the chance of a false positive, in the 1 in a trillion kind of range. Plus, they're looking for somebody with a significant cache. They're not looking. If someone's got one image, I don't think it won't trigger. They're looking for people who've got multiple images, and I don't think they've specified how many, but it's like if they find someone who's apparently got multiple of these images that have already been flagged and classified by the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, then they'll get their team of humans to actually look at the images to confirm that they are sexual abuse images.
So I guess that's a little better than I think my first initial understanding of what was happening, I guess misunderstanding of what was happening. I thought they were just looking for, pictures of naked kids, and that's not what they're doing.
Jeez.
They're looking for pictures that match a database of pictures. Those pictures are hashed, and then they're looking for pictures, in your iCloud photo library that have matching hashes. So they're looking for specific images that they know are out there. They're not just looking for pictures of, nude kids, because I got 4 kids. They're nude a lot, they're nude all the time. Like some of them are in pictures, they're running. I have videos of naked kids running around, and it's like, I don't want some stranger looking through those because, well, they're my kids, and that would be super creepy. So, honestly, it's not as bad as I originally had heard, but
it is bad because it's the principle. It's the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, your computers, we've had computers for 40 years now, right?
Yeah.
And, no one ever, I think, has ever created a tool to do this kind of thing. Like my computer, although there are caveats and there's definitely like shades of gray because the phone, is doing a lot of analysis on your pictures already. Yesterday, I searched for Blanco, right? We have this sync by this Canadian company called Blanco, and I wanted to find the specifications for some spare parts. So I searched for it, and then I see there, like in iOS 15, it's found the word Blanco in tens of thousands of pictures I've taken. So I had a picture of a menu from Italy when I went there, 4 years ago, that had, some cake on it that was called the Blanco.
Bianco.
Yeah, I was amazed. I mean, it's looking at it's classifying the text in my pictures. And of course, it does this for face recognition and also for objects. You can search for car or cat or any other keyword in your photos library. So there's a whole bunch of processing that's going on in the background already, that it's doing. And of course, that's no problem. But I don't know, philosophically, the idea that, they're building this mass surveillance system without precedent too. I mean, they're not illegally obliged to do this. There hasn't been any kind of law asking Apple to do this. They're jumping the gun. And I think it's clever. I mean, they seem to. It looks like it's a super clever system, but it's like kind of, I feel too clever by half. It's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it. They want to offer this end-to-end encryption with backups, which I think is laudable. Also should be done. But there's a lot of pressure from law enforcement and from organizations like the children protection organizations to be able to do this. So it seems as though they've come up with this solution, which unfortunately is forcing something that I find unpalatable down, my throat, which is that my machine is not going to spy on me. There's spyware built into the OS.
Yeah, that's the primary part about it that I don't like. Although it does seem like, and I'm not defending Apple. Like if I could choose whether Apple did this or not, I would say turn it off. This is completely inappropriate. You shouldn't be scanning people's devices. It's their stuff. There's no reason you should be looking through it. And I don't think that it's appropriate for them to be doing that.
Yeah, I felt like I'm kind of absolutist about that, even though it's child porn, which I find abhorrent. I do think it's absolute. Your phone should be private. It should be private. That's it. No matter what it's got on it.
But I think you could make the argument that it is private because, according to Apple, all you have to do to disable this feature is turn off iCloud photos. So it's only things that you're uploading to Apple's servers that are getting scanned, according to Apple. And if you don't want to do that, then you can just simply turn it off. So
doesn't that seem like every kiddie pervert is gonna know this, aren't they? Who use iCloud photos anyway to disseminate child porn? It seems like a weird.
Well, who uses Facebook? Who uses Facebook, right? Who uses Google Images? I think
how
stupid could you be to think that you upload something to
Facebook?
But even still, like, how stupid do you have to be? They're like, well, I'm in a private group. I'm going to upload this kid porn. It's like, dude, it's Facebook. It might be private to other Facebook users, but it's not private to Facebook. Like, how could you not know? But, I don't know. Maybe people just don't know how it works.
Yeah, I guess they don't.
So
it's it seems to me that it was a bit easily circumvented, and
it does seem like you could. And I think that the rumor that Apple was going to be looking for images on your own phone, that was the part that I think caused the most outrage, and I don't think that's accurate. According to Apple, it's not. All it is your photos uploaded to iCloud Photos. If you want to turn it off, they literally say if you have iCloud Photos disabled, the feature does not work. So, you can turn it off if you want and get your privacy back.
I saw someone making the argument saying that what privacy is violated because it's looking for, it's scanning your phone, which it does routinely anyway, looking for faces and objects and all this other stuff, all this other kind of processing, and it creates some hashes which are then sent to Apple, and then if those hashes match, then there's some action is taken. But in most people's for most people, this thing will be working in the background. And it won't share anything. It's not sending any photographs up to, off of your device. It's not offering up any information except these hashes. So what privacy is violated by doing this? And I think, it's an interesting idea. I think they're kind of right.
I don't think they have a right to search, period. It doesn't matter if it doesn't violate your privacy. They're still making a search that is invasive of your privacy, right? And that'd be like saying, I'm going to sell you a security camera for your house. And the security camera is going to be taking videos, and it's going to create a hash out of the videos that are being recorded, and we're going to match those to known crime videos. So we can detect if a crime is taking place on your property. It's like, well, wait a second. That's not what I'm paying you to do. Like, you shouldn't be hashing anything. Take those hashes out of here. I don't want those hashes. I don't want you scanning things and calculating. All I want you to do is store the video in a private server, encrypted, so that I can view it. You should not be doing anything with it. Only I should be doing stuff. Only I should know what's in this video, and you have no right to scan it. And I think that is kind of where most people who are outraged about this.
How do you feel, Lewis? How do you feel on this issue?
Well, the whole thing sounds weird. Does it strike you as odd? It's like, oh, well, there's this, there's 200,000 images in this database. It's like, oh, well, these are the definitive child porn images. What the hell? To me, the whole thing is bizarre. And if Siri could recognize what I say when I ask to see a show on Apple TV, I would be a little bit more, lackadaisical about, oh, well, I'm sure nothing will go wrong. But what if you take a picture of a pig at a county fair? It's like, well, it looks like a naked baby. Who knows?
How many trips say about my
hello, polizei? It's I don't know. The whole thing is weird.
Are you saying my baby looks like a pig? How dare you?
I mean, who knows? I mean,
How
I
dare
don't.
you?
I mean, the thing is, like nobody at all would ever. This is the problem. Nobody says, "Oh yeah, great. We love the child porn." It's like it's a horrible thing, right? So, but what's next, right? I mean, one of the things that I've read about it is like, oh, okay, well, so they set this up for this, and then China says to them, hey, well, we don't really want any pictures of anybody, standing up to the regime, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so they have the capability to do this. So, okay, what's next? I mean, slippery slope is a cliche, but it seems kind of slippery.
Yeah.
It does seem kind of slippery. I think China's exactly the right, the right regime. It's going to be Apple's biggest market in a year or two. Um,
And-
that's a lot of money to be leaving on the table, especially if
Yep.
and you can certainly see the Chinese regime saying they don't want people to be sharing, anti-communist party, memes.
No pictures of Tank Man.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
right,
that's
Tank
gone,
Man.
isn't it, from the Chinese internet? I mean,
Yeah.
they could probably.
I mean, worse than that. Worse than you can't have a picture of Tank Man or share it. But if you have that, then you're an enemy of the state,
Yeah.
and you've
You're going to be
been
under the
marked
gulag.
and busted. Yeah.
You're
Welcome
forced to work
you-
at Foxconn.
Welcome.
Well, let's talk about this other feature, because this other feature got a lot of scrutiny, but the more I read about it, the more I was like, I kind of actually think this is a really good feature. In fact, I don't think this feature goes far enough. It's an opt-in feature, and that is iPhone Messages. The app will warn parents if their kids send, receive nude photos. Now, this is something that you have to opt into. It's not turned in by default, but it is a feature that you can turn on. And if you have kids in your family, you can turn this on their phones, and it will. Let me see here. Let me scroll down here. Where are my notes here? All right, yeah. So Apple is going to be offering this tool. It only works in Messages, unfortunately. I kind of wish it worked across all messaging apps. But the process, and this is kind of, I think, where some of the confusion has come in about these two stories, which are two totally different features. The process will use on-device machine learning so that it does not have to actually access the images. If a child receives a nude photo in the Messages application on a phone or an iPad, the image will be blurred out. If the child tries to view it, they will receive an alert that asks, "Are you sure?" And the warning is phrased so that a child can understand it. It says, in part, sensitive photos and videos show the private body parts that you cover with bathing suits. If the child views the image, the parents will receive notification. I think this is great. And the part about this I didn't like is it's only kids 12 and under that
That's exactly what I was going to say.
that will send a notification to the parents.
13-year-old, no problem.
13 to 17, if they view it, it just lets it go. It's like, wait, what? Like, it should be, kids, anyone under 18. Like, if they view something, their parents should get a notification. Parents should know if their kids are getting nudies in their Messages app. It's totally inappropriate.
They didn't want to burn out the servers. The 16-year-olds.
The 16 to 18-year-olds, yeah, the server, they'd have to open like 18 new co-locations across the country just to process those. Yeah, I mean, but 13, 14, 15, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They
But
should be
will you be turning this on with your kids then?
Well, I won't even get my kids a phone until they're like 15. And then, yeah, hell yeah, I would absolutely turn this on. I mean, can you imagine? I can't even imagine. Because cell phones were a thing, back in my day. But how ubiquitous they are now and how easy it is to share media. And kids are kids, man. They do dumb things all the time. This is saving kids from themselves. And to be able to tell that this kind of thing is going on, I think is really important for parents. It gives them a really important tool for knowing what their kids are doing on their phones.
I was always like Tim Cook with my kids and their devices. Like, they got phones when they were, I can't remember how old they were when they first started getting phones, getting me hand-me-downs. But I never policed anything they did on the computer. My wife neither. We never policed anything. We never set up blockers or, try to look at. She spies on them. She's actually she's terrible.
You look across the house. She's over there with her binoculars looking at you.
Well, she's always going through their phones and seeing what they're looking at. But I never did.
So that's good. At least she's doing that.
Yeah, true enough, I guess. I don't know. I always just felt like I think kids should learn. It's like going to the playground, and you see some parents, like just let their kids, play on. Some parents are running, chasing their kids around the playground and being super careful, to make sure they don't hurt themselves. They don't get into any trouble, and it seems to me that they're holding that kid back. That kid is like, because their parents are so afraid. The kid is afraid. The kid doesn't become athletic. It doesn't become, comfortable on the playground with the swings and the slides and whatever. And it's actually detrimental. Even though it's well-intentioned, they're trying to protect their child. The child isn't learning what it needs to learn. And so, I think the same is true with the technology. Like with my daughter, she's extremely sophisticated about online now. She's in her mid-20s now, but she was always like this. She was always super smart about what to put online and what not to put online. She knew better than me. Especially with all these emerging apps and platforms, like what goes well, how to protect herself, not to put up too much personal information, not to put up any information that might be found in the future that might get her into trouble at school. I thought she was extremely sophisticated. I couldn't teach her that. She taught herself. And I think by letting her loose and giving her the freedom to do that, was actually beneficial to her.
But I think not all kids are like that. Your daughter sounds like she's very responsible with media, but there's a lot of kids that do stupid stuff online.
That are knuckleheads.
Yeah, and they get themselves into a lot of trouble, and they make decisions that affect them for the rest of their lives. And I think it's good for parents to have a way to monitor what their kids, especially their young kids, are seeing, and to make sure that no one is trying to get a nudie from them or something. There's no pervs out there trying to like fish them for information or something. Because actually, I heard
Wait a
that.
minute. What do you mean, Earphone? Earphone's asking you for what?
wait a second. What? So
no, I think that's a good point. I mean, that's a good point too.
And there are stories out there that I've heard, like with God, what do they call them? There's groups of people that will take advantage of kids, and what they'll do is they'll try to get them to send like a nude or like a video or something, right? And then they'll send it. And then they trap them. They say, oh, well, I'm going to show this to your parents. I'm going to send this to your teachers unless you send me more, right? So it can lead into a scenario where the kid has to spiral into this world of being sexualized because they got trapped, right? Like someone outsmarted them. So I think this kind of stuff
KGB.
is good.
I mean, that's what they used to do in the back of this, the Cold War. This is classic spycraft. Yeah, blackmailing people.
Spycraft.
Get something compromising.
Exactly, and then you leverage it right against that person.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many favors I've gotten from Lewis from saying, hey, dude, if you don't do this for me, I'm going to show everyone these vacation videos that you sent me of you dancing on the beach, in the beer liking mode and you're nothing but your Speedo. Do you want the internet to see this?
Yeah.
It's helped me a lot in my career.
That wouldn't be the worst.
I don't even.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Don't you think this would actually make it easier for parents to allow their younger kids to have phones? I mean, if I had a kid, I don't know that I would give them or let them have a phone until they were
25
16 at least, right?
Yeah.
25, yeah. But I mean, one of the things that you read about this stuff, it's like you hear about these like 6 and 7 and 8-year-old kids getting involved in this kind of crap, and it's just it's kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
So I think this sounds completely defensible, and I think it actually it's probably even smart for Apple because if the phone can be more locked down and less sort of available to be used by scumbags to pervert kids, I mean, it seems like it would be good. So
yeah,
who knows?
I mean, like I said, I don't think this goes far enough. I would like to see this. I would like to see notifications sent not just for people who are 12 and under, but up to 17. It's up to the parent. That parent is responsible for that kid until they're 18. If they get into trouble, something happens, if they crash a car, guess who has to pay for it? Papa does. Papa E's got to pay for all that. So if I got to pay for everything and I got to be legally responsible for them, then I should have the tools to do that on their phone. And not only that, but I think that this feature needs to be rolled out phone wide, because it really isn't useful if this only applies to the Messages app, right? People are smart. Oh, they just won't use the Messages app. They're going to use Signal. They're going to use Telegram. They're going to use all these other apps, and they'll just not use Messages. So this should be rolled out across the entire phone. So if your kid receives a file, of a nude or something, you should be notified of that, period. I think that would be a really super useful feature for parents. Anyway, that's the controversy. That's what happened this week. That's what everyone was reacting to and chatting about. I know there's lots of strong emotions with these topics, and I've had some of them myself, so I totally get it. It's interesting to talk about this stuff. Let's wrap up with one quick story about HomePods, and boy, this just really helps you understand why the HomePod was like suddenly abandoned, and now there's the HomePod Mini, but there's no real HomePod. Apple TV, the new hardware hasn't really changed very much, and it kind of seems like Apple doesn't really know where they're going with it. Well, if you saw this story, you understand it's because Apple doesn't really know where they're going with it. They don't know what's going on, at least according to this story. So
this was the saddest thing I've seen in weeks.
you think so? Jeez. I was bummed about this, but didn't ruin my day.
There isn't much optimism.
Apple TV engineers say there isn't much optimism over the company's weak living room hardware strategy, but there are plans to change it with new devices, according to a new report from I think this was Gurmy.
Marcus Gurmy.
Cupertino is still planning a combined Apple TV, HomePod, and FaceTime camera, the trio, the trifecta. But it's not expected to appear until, quote, around 2023. Despite being one of the most impressive set-top boxes in terms of performance and software, Apple TV has always struggled to compete against the more affordable offerings from Amazon, Google, and Roku. Now, this is the interesting part. Part of the problem is that the Apple TV has high-end hardware because they want you to be able to play games on it, which results in a hefty price tag. But the game library lacks any compelling titles, so no one's actually gaming on it. So it's this really weird scenario where Apple has to charge a bunch of money for the Apple TV, which is why people don't buy it. But the people that do buy it aren't even using the hardware because they're not playing any games. So I think Marcus Gurmy was talking about this in his Power On newsletter, and he said, quote, if Apple wants to be truly effective, it could just cut the price of its box, make it a cheap stick version with 4K, or add features that actually make it worthwhile. I totally agree with Mark on this. I think that Apple should create like a stick version, like a $75 or $50 stick version of the Apple TV that gives you the interface and doesn't have all the gaming garbage in there, because I really could care less about that stuff. But I love the Apple TV interface. And, Mark was saying that the Apple TV kind of seems pointless. I don't think that's true. It might be true for some people, but one of the things that I use it for is for viewing my Apple photo library, my freshly scanned Apple photo library.
Kitty porn.
On my TV. Hey, now, I just avowed that comment. My library has been scanned, and it is 100% pure. So, although there are pictures of naked kids in there, but they just happen to be my own. And so we have like the picture screensaver, which is one of my favorite features on the Apple TV. And then we can watch all the videos. So, like, we'll take videos of the kids. I'm known for my Lord of the Rings-esque family videos. People love them. They're like 20, 30 minutes long. They just keep going and going and going. I don't stop until my phone gets hot and shuts off, and that's literally true. So we'll be on like a vacation. I take like a 30-minute video, and everyone's like, "Oh, why'd you make the video so long?" I'm like, you know what? I probably have a stack of photos, maybe a fourth of an inch thick of my entire young adult life and childhood. My kids are going to have the whole thing documented in 4K, all their vacations, their birthday parties. They're going to have it all. They're going to be thanking me for those 30-minute videos when they get older. I don't even know what I looked like when I was a young kid. All I know is I was more attractive than most of the people that we were friends with and were family with. I mean, that's the only thing that my parents have told me. But other than that, I don't have any videos. I don't have any pictures or anything. So I would love to have all that content. So I do use it for viewing my photo content on the TV screen, which I think is one of the best uses for it. But other than that, I would love for it to be cheaper. And
but hold on, this is all.
What?
Yeah, so this all sounds really confused. So he's actually proposing, while he's bemoaning the fact that they don't have a cheap one, he's saying that they're going to try and squish together now, not just one expensive device, but 3 expensive devices: the TV, the HomePod, and a FaceTime camera. So now you've got something that's even more expensive.
Yeah, but he's saying
that
it will be more expensive with a robot arm that follows you. In fact, I think that was one of the proposed features. but the features will be worth it, so it will finally justify the price. I think Apple's thinking we can't lower the price because we need the high-end hardware. So how do we add more features that will make this thing more useful? I don't know. Having a camera that follows you around, I mean, that seems kind of like zany to me. I know Amazon has products that do something similar. There's the Facebook portal, which I think does some of that kind of stuff. But they're kind of weird, isn't it? Kind of weird and wacky products. Like, I don't see that kind of thing being ubiquitous. I think most people just want to have a streaming set-top box. But I could be wrong. It would be cool, though, to have something that, like the Apple TV Mini, right? Apple TV Mini. There it is. That's the title. Apple TV Mini and Apple TV Mini 4K. It's like a $40 streaming stick and then like a $60 streaming stick or something. And one has 4K, one does it. They both have the great Apple content experience, but they don't support games. And maybe they don't even come with a remote. You use the remote app on your phone.
Could they cut the games out of the app store for that particular device? Because I think one of the problems, if you have a cheap $25 stick and it's still got the same Apple TV interface, you go to the App Store and you go, oh, I want to download this game. You download it, and of course it doesn't run because the hardware's too limited, and it gives you a bad experience.
They could fix that. They could just set the store to not show you games on that device, so you see all the other content, but you don't see games.
Computer.
Huh?
I would love to know how many people actually play a game on an Apple TV. I mean, I've never run into anyone. Maybe somebody does.
I did once.
When it first launched.
How was it? Was it great?
No, it was horrible.
Were you using the Apple TV remote to actually
the Siri remote?
Yeah, it's terrible.
God.
Of course, you can use your Xbox remote, your PlayStation remote. So they've added a lot of controller support. Yeah, Louis, sorry, go ahead.
It just seems like the whole separate box is just becoming a moot point. I mean, every TV you buy now, it costs like $200 for a giant screen. And it already has an Apple TV app. So I don't know. It seems. I mean, I understand. Like, oh, it'd be great. You could do games. Well, again, I've never met anybody who plays one. I mean, I don't hang with the young cool crowd. But maybe it's not that important. Maybe we'll just want to stream the stuff that they want to see.
It kind of seems like the entire. Sorry, go ahead, Lo. Sorry.
Maybe it's just going to be built into the TV. I don't know. It seems the whole thing just seems kind of like a mess, right? And this idea of an iPad and a HomePod and an Apple TV all in one thing, like it just sounds like a Frankenstein device. It seems crazy.
Yeah, and I would argue the entire App Store model for the Apple TV is kind of a failure. And kind of broken. The only apps that people really seem to find useful are the apps that are ubiquitous across all platforms, like the HBO, the Apple TV Plus now, the Netflix, the YouTubes. Those are the only apps that you actually ever end up downloading. All the other apps, they're all just garbage. There's nothing there that really.
There's not even an Apple TV Plus app.
Well, you mean on the
built into the TV app.
You mean on third-party televisions or in the actual Apple TV hardware?
Well, actually, good point. I don't actually know, but my understanding is that there's an Apple TV app, and that's what you would get on a third-party thing. I mean, I use an Apple TV, but I don't think there's an actual Apple TV Plus app. Is there?
Well, it's
on
just
the Apple TV itself?
It's just the Apple TV app. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the TV Plus is a tab, right? So
yeah, well, it is.
I don't know. Sorry, I hear people, I all the time people are talking about Apple TV Plus. I think it's confusing to people. I mean, we understand Apple TV Plus, but I think that in general, the whole approach is kind of confusing to people who are generally want to stream something, or while they're watching or while they're eating dinner, right? So
I think that's a problem across a lot of Apple products. I was trying to get Apple Pay Cash working the other day. I was trying to send someone some money and it just wouldn't work. So I called my credit card company and I'm like, hey, there's something wrong with my Apple Pay Cash. Like my credit card keeps getting declined. I don't know why. And so one guy talked to me like he knew what was going on, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to transfer you. I was like, oh, okay. So he transferred me to this other lady.
Fantastic.
And this other lady's talking to me about the problem, and she's like, "So what are you trying to do?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to make an Apple Pay cash payment to somebody." And she's like, "You mean like at a store?" And I'm like, "No, that's Apple Pay." I'm like, "I'm trying to send money to another person." She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, it's like Venmo. It's like you can send something." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." And I was like, "Yeah, it's because Apple. It's called Apple Pay Cash. It's their peer-to-peer payment platform, and it's commonly conflated with Apple Pay, which is something completely different. It's like Apple Pays when you wave your phone in front of a payments console at a store, and then you use your credit card or your debit card to pay for stuff. Totally different thing." And she had no idea what I was talking about, and I had to walk her through the whole thing. And I'm like, "You work for a major credit card company. How do you not know this?" Even she didn't know what the hell I was talking. I mean, she had no clue. And so eventually she was able to fix the problem, but which had nothing to do with Apple Pay at all. It was actually just because it was like a fraud alert.
Your card
had declined, and I was like, because I'm so overextended. Yeah.
Your social credit rating has been dropped.
Yeah. Right. Well, they watched this show and it plummeted it swiftly. I can't go on flights anymore. I can only shop at the outer edges of the grocery store. I can't even go to the inside aisles. So, yeah, but we got it working. It was actually really funny because she said, "Oh, well, your card declined." I'm like, well, don't you guys normally send like a fraud alert? Oh, sorry, she said it was fraud alert, so that's why it declined. And I was like, well, don't you guys normally send a fraud alert when something declines? And she goes, "Oh no, we only do that with credit cards." I was like, wait, what? So it declined because of fraud, and you weren't even going to tell me it was fraud? And she's like, "No, we don't have that built into the debit side card of the business." And I'm like, well, that's where it's the most important. Because if it's credit, it's not my money. But if it's debit, it's coming out of my account. Like, I kind of want to know that. And she's like, "Yeah, we don't have it." And I was like, "Yeah, because you don't care about it because it's my money, not your money." On the credit card, they're trying to protect themselves, not you. But on the debit card, she's like, "I don't care. It's just your money. I don't care if it goes away."
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. That's I think that's it. That's all the stories that we have for you guys this week. Lewis, you're still here.
I made it, man.
You made it all the way to the end. I can't believe it.
The
Do you have any
SIM card made it.
I can't believe it. I'm happy that you were able to stay here for the whole show. Do you have any big Italian plans for tonight? You going to the opera or something?
It's 11:15 in San Pellegrino. I think I'm going to go to sleep is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good too. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. If you want to come say hi, we're all on Twitter. I'm at Erfon, ERFON. Later is at LK. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. This has been the CultCast, the best 30+ minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of CultCast come out every Thursday night. Thank everyone for listening. Thank everyone for watching. Thank Lewis Wallace for making it here all the way from across the waters. And we will see you guys next time. Not gonna go out and get the pizza pie for Lewis, huh? Not gonna go out and
Is it really high up in the mountains? I'm just looking on the map here.
What? Huh?
We've lost the answer. What?
I can't hear what you're saying either.
Can't hear me?
I can now. And now you're
Where
not.
you go next,
stop.
Now you're just not talking, so it's not working.
Oh my god.
What? Huh?
It's just the quality production that people look for.
Hold on, I got a piece of sushi.
They pay extra for this, right?
This is what I have to deal with every week. This is what I have to deal with every single week. It's like that who's on first bit. You know, it really is. Huh? What? Who's on where? Where'd who go?
Who's on what?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I'm sweating like a hog. And I don't mean like one of those babies, Lewis. I'm like an actual hog.
How hot is it in Seattle right now?
It's too hot. I'm ending the stream. I can't have the CPU pumping any more heat into Cult Command. I'm sitting here sweating.
Oh wow, that's
Bye guys.
rough.
Have a good weekend.